You are watching Lesson 8 for continuing students of the Dance of the Eye and the Hand. Today, we'll be exploring the 8 relationships.
Welcome back. Today we're going to continue with the 8 relationships and focus today on the second pair, which is spacey and density, and gathered and scattered. And I'll show you some examples to think about considering those relationships, looking at these examples where places where either the strokes or the images or the units are thick or layered, and where they're more open. It could be in a series of rocks, a series of mountains, in a tree, in the leaves, but look for those polars of some place where it is dense or which is it's spacey. Good word. Then the other that we're looking at is gathered and scattered. And again, we're looking at most likely units within a unit where primarily this applies to dots, where the dots are accumulated so that they appear as a group, or they are scattered individual, and the eye reads them as individuals. It could be leaves, it could be rocks, it could be dots, but looking for that tension between things that are accumulated and dense and thick, and those that are tossed and open and in some cases floating. So let's take a look and see how good your eye is with this.
So here I'm going to show you 4 examples by artist Li Yangshan to see how many different examples you can find first of items or elements that are gathered and scattered, and ones where there's spaciousness or density. You might even want to pause the video and just focus on the painting for gathered and scattered and spaciousness and density. Take a few moments to look. Again, another landscape to look for elements that are gathered or scattered, or where there's a spaciousness or a density. Look at both the small elements, the larger shapes, things in the foreground, things in the distance, the dots, the shading, the tone of the ink. How does this contribute to gathered and scattered and space and density? Here, even in a much simpler composition, we can find examples of spaciousness and dense, and areas where the strokes or the elements are gathered or they're scattered. Take some moments, look at the painting, look at where it's the most dense, where it's the most spacious, where elements are tightly gathered or where they're loosely painted. And finally, one last example, a more complex composition, many elements, but again, focusing on how is the brushwork used in a way where strokes are gathered together and where they are scattered, where there's a spaciousness or where there's density. And this is looking at the ink work, looking at the composition. You find those examples.
So working from our sheet we started last time with the first pair, master and guest, and void and solid. We'll move on to the next pair, which is spacey and density. So to start that, we want to still be aware of how many more we got to go here. We start the character for spacey with a horizontal and a down to left. Then a vertical and a horizontal dot, a vertical to horizontal. Then on the right side, a horizontal, strong dot, and then this down to left connects to horizontal, down to right, and then center, vertical, and a pair of dots, a down to left and down to right, a little bit longer. So that's our first of the two, spacey. Then density starts with left vertical, and these are fairly long verticals, fairly deep, with a dot, and then inside, down to left, down to right, and then 3 dots, 1, 2, 3, and you can vary that. And then what looks like the radical for mountain, center vertical, centered on that dot, left vertical to horizontal, and right vertical. And the mountain tells us this is mountain related, and mountains are dense. So we have spacey and density. Then our next one is gathered. We start with fairly long horizontal, then long pair of verticals, and then 1, 2 horizontals inside, and then a bottom horizontal, and there's still a little bit of leg left at the bottom of that structure. Then on the right side, down to left, and then cross it down to right. Then under this, we put this structure, which starts with down to left, then another down to left, and then a pair, 2 more down to lefts, almost looks like a harp, and then 1 more down to left, and then this down to right wave that needs to be fairly strong all the way. And that gives us our character for gathered. And then scattered starts with 1 horizontal, another nice long horizontal, pair of vertical dots, and then what we know to be the character for moon or month. And then on the right side, down to left connects to horizontal, down to left, and then another strong wave coming down, press and lift. So we have gathered and scattered. Let's give that a try.
Before you go, one last note. The handouts for the Dance of the Eye and the Hand for beginning students and continuing students, all lessons, are posted as downloadable PDFs at www.laughingwatersstudio.com. Have a good day. You have been watching Distance Learning from Laughing Waters Studio.